Welcome to another edition of the Noles Podcast. I am your host, Gregory McCoy. This podcast is by a fan for fans. I am not a journalist. I am not a reporter. I am not an insider. I do not work for a website. The majority of my content comes from me and my opinion. Other information comes from the internet. Today is, who cares about what today is? No segments for this episode, just more Florida State football stuff. I'm calling this episode Sink or Swim. And I'm just going to rattle off a couple of names of players on the roster who I think are important pieces to what needs to... They're important pieces to the team in order for us to be successful. And I want to say a couple of things about the new receivers. Sink or swim, Darius Washington. I've said it a million times and I'll say it again. I don't feel like he's a good tackle at all. He can be a great interior lineman. He played that one game at center. It was probably, in my opinion, his best game as a Florida State Seminole. I understand that you have to put the best 5 guys out there, but he's a mediocre tackle at best. Okay? So sink or swim on him, man. Sink or swim, DJ Lundy. I think he's a little heavy for middle linebacker. I would like to see him lose about 20 pounds, get down to 235, and then I think you'll have a very special talent. Obviously he can come downhill and make tackles, but his coverage ability is something to be desired. So Akeem Dent, sink or swim. Akeem Dent was coming on at the end of the season, man. But, I mean, his career has been mostly just, I think he was ascending at the end of the season, but for most of the time that he's been there, he's been pretty mediocre. Sink or swim, Jordan Travis. We probably don't win any games the last 2 seasons without Jordan Travis at quarterback. But I really need this guy to work on his craft and learn how to sit in the pocket and make money throws, because he's got a hell of an arm. And that's really it. I mean, we already know about his scrambling ability. We all know about his improv skills, but I want to see if he can actually sit in the pocket and make throws. That's what I want to see. Sink or swim, Trayshawn Ward. Okay, Jayshawn Corbin is going pro, so you're the main attraction now. What is it going to be in 2020, man? I'm pretty sure you won't get the whole boatload of carries, but I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to get the lion's share. Like, you're RB number 1 right now. So you got to make plays. I would just like for him to run a little bit harder. That's really it. Sink or swim, Lawrence Tuafili. I would like to see him put on some weight. Obviously, the talent is there. He's a very shifty, very fast running back. I would just like to see him be a more vital part of the offense. Sink or swim, the 2 new receivers, the one from Arizona State and the one from Oregon, Micah Pittman And I forget the other dude's name, the guy that's like 6'7", 240 or whatever it is. I mean, I think obviously with the 6'7" guy, you got an instant red zone target. With Micah Pittman, I think you've got a pretty good punt returner. So that's, that in of itself should give us a few more wins. But I've watched a couple of highlights on Micah Pittman on YouTube, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some kind of expert. Like I say, I got to see him in the games to make a proper evaluation in terms of the eyeball test. That's what I do. I'm not some kind of guru or analyst or technical guy or nothing like that. I'm a fan, and I can tell you if a guy can play or not. And just from watching his Oregon stuff, he looks pretty good. I haven't watched any tape on the dude from Arizona State. All I know is 6'7", 240. That's red zone. He's an instant red zone guy. You just throw him a jump ball and see what he can do. Sink or swim special teams. I mean, we had to have some of the worst special teams in the nation, man. I would really like to see Norvell actually get a coach to coach special teams. Instead of having a position coach a position and special teams. I would like to see one guy dedicated to special teams. It was just terrible. Grotehouse is in the portal. I think it's Grotehouse. One of those kickers are in the portal. Fitzgerald is staying. Grotehouse is in the portal. Fitzgerald has an okay leg. He's just not accurate. So I don't know if he's going to be the kicker. But just punt return, punt coverage, kickoff return, kickoff coverage, onside kick, all that stuff, man. It needs improvement. Special teams is a vital part of the game. And I don't care how many times you say they work on it. Obviously, they're not doing it right if you can't execute it in the games. So, it's just sink or swim on special teams, man. Sink or swim, Alex Atkins. I like this move. I think Norvell is going to let this guy run his offense. I think one of the reasons why Dillingham left is because he probably wasn't truly running the offense. I think Norvell might be a little bit more hands off on the offense and let Atkins run it. But like I said on previous shows, on previous podcasts, if that offense just improves ever so slightly next season, you can bet your bottom dollar that Alex Atkins is going to be a head coach somewhere. Because he just has head coach written on his face. I think when you have an offensive line coach as your offensive coordinator, obviously they want to run the ball. So I think it's going to be a little bit more emphasis placed on the run game. Like I said on another podcast, Gibbons, Lyles, Washington as your interior. Then out of those other 15 or so linemen, you got to find two guys that can play tackles. And then I think you got something special. Sink or swim, Lloyd Willis. This upcoming year will be his 4th year on campus. When are you going to play him? When are we going to see what this 6'7", 300-pound, lean, athletic guy can do? So I'm really challenging him and the coaching staff to get him ready, man. Like, I'm just tired of the whole process. Like, this guy got to play. You know, if it's him and Robert Scott, whatever. But it's time to get him on the field, man. We got to see what this guy can do. Sink or swim defensive ends. You know, filling the shoes of Jermaine Johnson is going to be huge. I don't think filling the shoes of Kier Thomas is going to be that hard, and that's no slight to him. He came in, he was a good player, but Jermaine Johnson is elite. And I think, that's what we want from our defensive linemen at Florida State. So, Quayshawn Fuller, McClendon, Derek McClendon, you got some shoes to fill. I seen the tape of McClendon doing his little defensive end stuff. He looked good. But how is that going to translate to the games? That's what we need that to do. Look, making a little highlight tape on Instagram. Okay, how is that going to translate to the games? That's the real question. So, and he's a big guy. He's 6'4", 250 something pounds. So, I mean, he can make the jump. He can be a special talent. It's just, it ain't about putting the work in. It's about want to. Jermaine Johnson came in there. He wanted to be special, and he was. And on top of that, he had the talent to go along with it. So, tremendous shoes to fill there. Sink or swim the whole receiving corps. I'm smart enough to know as a football fan that anything you do on offense or defense is predicated on defensive line play. So I don't sit here and I'm not going to bury these guys. But at some point, you got to separate. At some point, you got to catch. You got to catch the ball when it's thrown to you. So, we'll see how this sink or swim stuff works out. I think the sink or swim idea was a pretty good idea, especially for this fan base, for this team, for this culture. I really don't think that, Florida State can get back to elite. And I've said it earlier in this episode, elite is national championships. I don't see this program getting back to that status. I think 11-2 from time to time, 9-3 is probably the height that this program is going to reach again. The game has changed since 2013. You got to be you got to invest big time money into your program now. And you got to spend to win. And history says that Florida State is not willing to do that. But I think, every 10 or so years you can catch lightning in a bottle. For Florida State to get back to where we want them to be, it's going to take $1 billion investor. That's what Miami has now, is $1 billion investor. The Ruiz family. So I look for them to be back in short order. South Florida is still one of the most talent-rich places in the country. So, then you already flipped Skinner from Alabama to Miami. But I think if you can straighten out the offensive line and keep the defensive line ascending, I think Florida State can be, like I said, 10 wins or better, every couple of years. Fringe ACC champs, fringe playoff team. The days of Bobby Bowden and even the last couple of years of Jimbo, I don't think you're going to get back to that status. You had an opportunity to get out in front of, this whole NIL thing and football only facilities. You had a chance to get in front of that and you chose not to. And by being cheap, you're now paying the price. So, that's just my current state of the program. Sink or swim, Florida State fan base. This is one of the most fair weather fan bases in all of college football. When the Seminoles are on, there's probably no other fan base that's better. But when they're off, you you know it. Nebraska ain't been on in a very long time, but I think they sell out their stadium every year. So they're they love their team, man. They support their team, but this fan base is so fickle that it's ridiculous. Like, this is your team, back on, you know what I'm saying? Stick with your team, support them. Don't just come around when they're, going undefeated or having winning years. You gotta go through these you gotta stick with them through these lean times. So, I don't know how this is gonna turn out with Norvell as the head coach. But if he's going to be the long-term solution, he's got to make better personnel decisions. He's got to make better in-game decisions. And like I said, either he needs to take over special teams or he needs to hire a guy that's his sole job is special teams. Because that's a very important phase of the game that we sucked at. And hopefully we can see major improvement, with the transfer portal. We got a DB, I forget his name. It's just my opinion, we don't really need DBs. We need tackles. We need a playmaker at linebacker. There's tons of things you can focus on, but you take what you can get if you Florida State at this point. I don't think beggars can be choosy at this point. So, got a long way to go, Florida State. I think we can get there, but I don't think we're gonna be elite again. I think Miami is gonna be back in a few years here. It's gonna take them a while to build up a fence around South Florida, and that, to me, that would be a welcome sight, because then you can get Georgia and all these other schools out of South Florida. That really is what needs to happen. So, again, thank you for listening. Appreciate the support. Go Noles. And hopefully in 2022, which is right around the corner, we can, have something to be proud about. So, again, thank you for listening. We're available everywhere. We're available on YouTube. Go Noles. Happy New Year. Happy holidays.